Stretch. Yay. Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video, a new week. I hope you're doing well. In today's video, we are chatting everything about press to handstands. This amazing skill that is probably about like an intermediate one. It's a great one to practice when you've just started to get comfortable hitting your handstand and holding it for a decent amount of time, and you're aware of like what your body is doing in your handstand, and the handstand shape is starting to click in your brain. And also maybe you're at the point where you have been able to hold your handstand and you've played around with like some leg movement already. That's a really good stage to be at to start trying to do a press to handstand. But the great thing is you don't actually have to be at that level before you can start working on them, because you can start working on your flexibility and your strength in certain type of like easier drills before you're even at that stage, so that by the time when you are ready to start trying to learn the press to handstand, you've already been working on the other components of it that can help you towards getting it. So don't fear if you're not at that stage of trying the press to handstand. You might find that you can do some of these stretches and drills to help you along on your handstand journey. So there's a couple important key components when it comes to a press to handstand, and that is your flexibility, mobility, and compression. Specifically, mobility in your hips, flexibility in your hamstring, and also your straddle or pancake. And then also in your straddle / your pancake is your compression. And then also what falls into that compression category is your core compression as well. And then of course the most obvious other key component is your shoulder and core strength as well. So the reason why mobility and flexibility and compression are really important in your press to handstand is because when you are flexible and you have that compression, it makes doing a press to handstand so much easier. Like I'll put some footage up here as I'm explaining this kind of thing, because specifically when you're doing the straddle press to handstand, when you have really good compression, it means you're able to get your hips over the top of yourself much quicker, and it's much easier to get your hips over the top of you, which makes just the entire like skill in general much easier, because that first part is so hard, and when you have that flexibility it makes it so much easier. But there is a good thing to note, which is you don't actually have to have some parts of the flexibility as good as some of the other ones, because your hamstring and your pancake / your straddle, you can still do a press to handstand even if you aren't as flexible in those areas. It just means that when you are trying your press to handstand, it just means that you're going to have to lean your shoulders more forward to get yourself up, and it just means you'll be using a bit more strength compared to when you're a bit more flexible and you don't have to use as much strength to get yourself up there. So a couple weeks ago I did do a video all about flexibility and stretching for your press to handstand, so check that out if you want to see that kind of thing. But today in this video we're just going to be covering some of the drills to strengthen and help all of those key components that I talked about. As always, please make sure you warm up before you try any of these drills, or you incorporate these drills and try them in your next handstand session, but make sure that you warm up everything nice and properly. If you do need some videos to follow along or for some inspiration, I have an entire playlist of warm-ups and stretching, so check them out if you need them. So let's dive straight into the juicy content, the handstand drills of this video. Pew! So before we get into things, I want to quickly briefly touch on the fact that the tuck press to handstand is the easiest, straddle is like the middle one, and then the pike press is the hardest one. So I'll definitely recommend trying the tuck press to handstand first, and then as you get that one, you can give the other ones a go. So another thing that I've just remembered as well is, if you aren't familiar with any of these pathways or how to do them correctly, I also have a video on that you can check out to recap or to learn what those are. Very important, because the most common thing that I see is that people do the tuck a little bit of a weird way that doesn't help you at all. So check that out and I'll explain why I teach it the way that I do. So first up, the first drill that we're going to be doing is lean forwards. They are pretty much a shoulder strengthening exercise, which is really good for like beginners. So the first skill that we're going to be doing is just a really simple and basic easy one, and that's lean forwards. So all you're going to do is you're going to lean your shoulders over your hands and rise up onto your toes. And you're going to come back. It's just nice and simple and easy to start with. Making sure you're pushing up nice and tall through your arms and your shoulders. So for this one, all you're going to do is reach your hands forward. You're going to shift your weight so that your shoulders are past your hands, to then bring your feet close to your hands. You're going to reach forward, lean your shoulders over, bring your feet in. This exercise is also really good for concentrating on that core compression, because you're using it to bring your feet closer to your hands. And then you can turn around when you get to a point. Make sure you're really controlling this and you're landing your feet nice and softly, and you're not doing a really heavy jump over. So try not to do that. Try to really lean forwards and control that landing. The next one that we're going to do is very similar to the ones we were just doing, except we're going to be doing it in a tuck position with our feet elevated onto something. So coming into a nice stacked position with your bum over your shoulders, and all you're going to do is lean your shoulders forward and then bring them back. Make sure you are really pushing up even when you're taking your shoulders forward, and then especially when you're bringing them back. You can also do this one on just like a normal wall as well. This one is really good because it starts to work on that shoulder strength, where you're bringing your shoulders forward but then back underneath yourself as well, because that part of the press to handstand is what helps you to bring your shape back into alignment after you've used your shoulders going forward to counterbalance getting your legs up. So let's go to the wall. So you can have your knees and your shins against the wall so that you're nice and stacked, and you can have your feet turned over, and then all you're going to do is the same thing as before. Don't let your shoulders sink. Stay pushing up nice and tall. Boom. Next up, for this one, you will need a fit ball. There's kind of no alternative to this. Maybe you have to go into a gym to do these ones, or just like get a fit ball for yourself. This drill also works on that strengthening part of bringing your shoulders forwards and back underneath yourself, just in a slightly more advanced drill. This one is also good because it also works on that core compression and your core strength. So with a fit ball, we're going to start in a plank position. Oh, even just holding this is very hard. You can make the plank or the first bit a lot easier on your core by bringing the ball more underneath your knees. Or if you want to make it harder, you can have just your toes on the ball. I'm going to go for a nice in between. So to starting off, make sure that you are not too far over your shoulders. If you're doing that, it's usually a sign that you need to maybe bring more of your shins onto the football. So starting off back, shifting the shoulders forward, and then bringing the bum and the hips up on top of yourself using the ball. This one is also really good because it mimics that hip pathway of bringing them up onto your shoulders. Make sure you're pushing nice and strong through your shoulders and not letting them sink. Whew. That one is so hard. That one is a fair bit of a difficult one, so take it easy when you try that. Maybe just start off with one and see how you go, and then build from there, because it is, even I struggled with that one. Just that like plank, that starting plank position is even just holding that is a bit hard. Okay, the next exercise that we're going to be doing is candlestick rolls to straddle lifts. Now these are really good for you if one day you're planning on trying to get the shoulder press or the press from sitting on the ground as well, because this one works on that compression strength, that shoulders forward and moving them back strength as well. So for this one, you're going to start off by rolling back into a candlestick up here, and then letting yourself roll down, straddling the legs as you come down, hands reaching forward for the ground, and pushing and lifting your bum off the ground. So really thinking about that core compressing to get the bum off the ground and leaning your shoulders forward. And then you can come back and do another one straight afterwards. Oh, that one will also get your hips as well, so make sure they are nice and warm and mobile. Okay, next we're going to do a very similar to that one, except with a slightly different twist, except this time we're going to do the lift in a pike position. So exactly the same, rolling up into the candlestick, coming forward with your legs together and lifting your bum off. The next drill that we're going to be doing is negatives. Now, negatives are so good to do because it's starting to train those muscles that are bringing you down, and they will help build up that strength needed for the press to handstand when combined with these other drills as well. And also when you're first starting the press to handstand drills and stuff, and even just attempting press to handstands, these will be so much easier to do than the actual getting up into the press, because it's the hardest part essentially. So kicking up into the handstand and then slowly pressing yourself down. Really try to make sure that you are leaning those shoulders forwards and that you're slowing it down as you're bringing your feet to the ground. So the next stage that you can then progress to is trying the press to handstand with your feet elevated. Now you could use your fit ball for this, so practicing those roll up to L's and then pressing from there to get up into a handstand, or you could find a small box or bench, or I'll show you of a short mat or a step or something. But the idea with this is you want to elevate your feet to the point where you can do that first part of the press, and then as you practice it from that level, you then lower your feet to challenge yourself a little bit and to progress yourself towards doing the full press to handstand from the ground. As you can see, that was quite easy off a box that height. And also something else to note is the fact that your shoulders don't need to go too far forward when you're on a high box, because your legs are already so far up in the air. Well, that is all the drills that I'm going to include in this video. If you guys do like it and you enjoyed this kind of content, the more slightly intermediate to advanced, do let me know down in the comments if you want to see some more like this. I will definitely be continuing this press to handstand series, and I will probably make a playlist as well, so you guys can check that out and watch all of those videos. But that is it from me. Please hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos just like this one, and the little notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. And with that, happy handstanding, guys. I hope you enjoy the process, enjoy getting strong and learning new skills, and I will see you next time. Bye. It's so windy. I should have done this inside. You're so weak. And I hope you guys, oh my god, what am I saying? I hope you guys are happy handstanding.